HIMS.
Hello everyone, I am Jenny Axler and I am very excited about this video because today I get to introduce you to a brand new HIMS product. In January of 2023, we are going to be shipping a brand new product called the SensePlayer. I suppose the most traditional way to describe it would be to call it a daisy player. However, even daisy players these days are more like multimedia devices. They support document reading and media playback, calculators, calendars, all kinds of things. And the SensePlayer is no exception. It does all of that, but it does quite a bit more. With Android 11, as well as some very creative and interesting HIMS-specific programming, the SensePlayer takes accessible multimedia devices to a whole new level. So let's get started by taking a look at the specs. So we have two models. We have the SensePlayer and the SensePlayer OCR. And the main difference between these is that the SensePlayer OCR has a camera for optical character recognition, obviously, as well as a color reader and whatever we might decide to do with that camera in future. Everything else is generally the same between these two. When you look at this compared to the Blaze EZ and ET, you can certainly see that we have upgraded the hardware. We have quite a bit more storage and RAM. As I mentioned, we're also using Android 11, which gives us a lot more potential. We're using USB-C instead of micro USB, which again gives us a lot more flexibility in terms of hardware connectivity, etc. But when you look at the programming, you're going to see that a lot of things are the same. This is true. We did carry over a lot of our programming from the Blaze to the SensePlayer in a similar way that we did from the BrailleSense Polaris to the BrailleSense 6. However, given the hardware connectivity and using Android 11, we have a lot more possibilities for future growth here. For example, we will be adding a mobile screen reader, which will allow you to install other programs like Netflix, Amazon Kindle, etc., and have a completely tactile, accessible interface to those. In addition, we have a unique function called Smart Connect. The Smart Connect function actually allows you to use your SensePlayer as a tactile Bluetooth keyboard for iOS, Android, and even your BrailleSense. And you might wonder, okay, why BrailleSense? Well, because maybe you want to use it as a remote control if you're playing Netflix or you're using Envision AI on the BrailleSense and you have it on a stand. There's any number of reasons. But for Android and iOS, it's a little more obvious. Many people, though we can certainly use touchscreens, and there have been great strides even with Android as far as making everything accessible, and so many options like image description and just on and on, it still isn't the ideal solution. Most of us, I think, still prefer physical orientation if we can get it, specific buttons that we can immediately press to make things happen, etc. The SensePlayer with the Smart Connect function allows you to use your SensePlayer's keyboard to make that available with your smartphone. So you can just simply use it as a tactile keyboard to make things more immediate. Again, you can also use it as a remote. Say that you do want to use something like Seeing AI or Envision AI on your phone and you have it on a stand, you can use it as a remote control. I've even used it for remote controlling media playback. I have a dock that I connect my smartphone to, and I use my Smart Connect function on the SensePlayer to remote control it from my chair. Okay, let's take a look at it. So for your reference, this is the same length and width as an iPhone mini. It is exactly the same length and width as an iPhone mini, although it is thicker and its shape is a little bit different. For those of you who are familiar with the BrailleSense, its body shape is very similar to the BrailleSense 6 and BrailleSense 6 mini. It has the rounded edges, etc. And of course, it has a keyboard instead of a touchscreen. So if you hold it in portrait mode, the top and bottom edges of the front face are taken up with the stereo speaker grills. Below the top stereo speaker grill, there are 4 square-shaped buttons, and these are double action keys that perform functions related to Smart Connect, which I just talked about, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and the one on the very left with a notch is called Mode. For those of you who are familiar with the old BookSense, the Mode key is very similar to the Mode key on the BookSense. You can actually access all the programming on this device with the number keys, various shortcuts. There are many, many more programs than the BookSense had. So we can't cover all of them with the Mode key, but you can cycle through your most commonly used programs with this key. And you can set that with a long press of the Mode key. You can set which programs are cycled with this, and you can have up to 3 to 5. Below these keys, you will find the navigation pad, which of course is 4 arrows, and your OK or select key. The nav pad is surrounded by 4 other keys. To the upper left of it, you will find the home key, which of course takes you to the main menu. To the upper right, you have the menu key, which will take you to program-specific menus. To the lower left, you'll find the cancel key, which will close a program, menu, or dialog. And to the right, you will find delete, which of course deletes, clears a text box, clears the calculator, and has various other functions depending on where you are. Below these keys, you will find a standard 12-key telephone-style keypad, which has various functions depending on your position in the unit. Moving around to the left edge, we have several things. At the bottom, you will find the micro SD card slot. Above that, there are the volume down and up buttons. Above that is the voice control button, which actually determines what the volume buttons do. They can control volume, speed, pitch. It just depends, again, where you are on your unit, what these things are going to control, but you can cycle these functions with the voice control button. On the top, you will find the record key. Just above that, there is a very small hole, which actually is where one of the stereo microphones are located. They're not directly across from each other, they're actually diagonal. So moving around to the right edge, starting at the bottom, you have the second of the 2 stereo microphones, another small hole. So as I mentioned, they're located diagonally from each other. So regardless of whether you are in portrait mode or landscape mode, you're going to get a very nice stereo recording. Moving up from there, we have the key lock switch, and then a very long button near the top, which is the power button. If I move around to the bottom edge, we have our 2 connection ports. Our USB-C port is used for a ton of different things. You use it to charge the device, to transfer data via your PC, to connect USB drives to the device, to connect USB audio devices. On this device, we do not have a line-in audio jack. You use your USB-C port to connect USB mixers and other USB audio devices that you can use for that purpose. To the left of the USB-C port, then, is a 4-pole headset jack. Finally, if I turn it over, on the back side of this model, we have the battery compartment, the 13-megapixel camera, and there is near the top a place to connect a lanyard. Now, of course, the SensePlayer proper that does not have the OCR after it will not have the camera, but everything else will be the same. Okay, let's take a look at the programming. So I'm at the home menu. We'll just start at the top.
File Manager.
We have our File Manager, and I'll just arrow down through here.
Media Player.
We have a Media Player.
Daisy Player.
Daisy Player.
Document Reader.
Document Reader, which is very similar to the Document Reader on the Braille Sense.
FM Radio.
We have our FM radio.
OCR.
OCR.
Web Radio.
Web radio.
Podcasts.
Podcasts.
Library Services scroll down. Utilities scroll down. Settings scroll down.
And we have our settings. And if we go down,
File Manager.
we wrap back around. So let's go back up to the first submenu.
Settings. Utilities scroll down. Library Services scroll down.
And I'll press the right arrow to open this.
And Line Daisy.
The first item here you're going to find is Online Daisy, and this will be true in most languages that have online libraries that we support. Most of them are going to support the DoD protocol. However, in US English and several other languages, we also have
Bookshare Download.
Bookshare download. Now we do support other libraries like NLS Bard. There's a library in Israel. We have several things that we will be able to support when we add the mobile screen reader. And the reason for this is generally based on licensing issues. So we will be supporting these via third-party apps, and they will be still able to be used directly from the keyboard with the tactile interface. So let me press the left arrow.
Library services, scroll down.
And we'll go down.
Utilities, scroll down.
And we'll take a look at our utilities menu.
Recordings.
So here we have our recordings playback area. You actually initiate recordings using the record button directly, but you can play your recordings, set your recording settings. All of that happens here.
Color reader.
We do have a color reader, which utilizes the camera as well.
Memo.
We have a memo function, which is just a very, very simple notes editor.
Calculator.
And we have a calculator, and this is going to be a basic function calculator. Of course, your for major operations plus percentage and the functions that you're normally going to find on a basic calculator.
Wake up alarm.
We have a wake up alarm.
Stopwatch.
Stopwatch.
Countdown.
Countdown.
Sleep timer.
Sleep timer.
Format.
This allows you to format your flash disk or any SD card or USB drive connected.
Backup restore flash disk.
We also have a backup restore flash disk application. This is going to be similar to the one that you're going to find on the BrailleSense. And again, just allows you to back up all of your data to a USB drive or SD card so that you can, if you want to reset and clear off the machine, or if you need to get it repaired, or just because you want to back up and save everything, you can do that here.
Upgrade SensePlayer firmware.
And of course, you can upgrade. So let me go back.
Utilities, scroll down.
And we'll go down to settings.
Settings, scroll down. Global options.
So we have a global options dialog. And again, this is going to be somewhat similar to what you have on BrailleSense, but this will be a little bit shorter and will have various options that are, of course, specific to the SensePlayer.
Set time and date.
Set time and
Voice
date.
options.
Voice options. So again, this is going to be similar to your voice dialog on the BrailleSense.
Voice installer.
Our voice installer is actually separate, but again, this is going to allow you to install various vocalizer voices.
Bluetooth manager.
Our Bluetooth manager is here.
Set up internet.
Our setup internet.
Initialize SensePlayer options.
You can initialize.
Quick start guide.
We have the quick start guide.
100 charged using USB power.
This is where you find your battery status. You can also press and hold the volume down button to get this at any time.
Information about the SensePlayer.
And you get information about the SensePlayer. So you can see this is kind of a hybrid between the Blaze and the BrailleSense. And this is one reason why we do call it the SensePlayer. Eventually, we hope to be able to synchronize a lot of things between the SensePlayer and the BrailleSense. And the programming is somewhat, it's definitely part of the HIMS product line and is a very mobile to-go version of many of the same functions that you have on the BrailleSense. So that's just a general overview of the device, its main feature set, what it looks like, and what it does. We will be doing future videos that will give you specific information on general operations, as well as an in-depth look at some of the specific features like OCR and Smart Connect. For more information about any of our HIMS products, you can visit our website at www.himsintl.com or send us an email at hims@selvishc.com. Thanks for watching.